Okay, so we're going to go over some additional notes for The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. I know you've already read it, you already watched the Simpson video. All right, and here's just kind of a discussion that we can have over it, led by these notes here, that you can use them for a study tool to either complete your discussion or to get ready for the test over The Raven. So the first thing we're going to talk about is setting. We've talked before about how important setting is to Edgar Allan Poe. All right, the setting of this story is the chamber of a house at midnight, right? That basically just means his bedroom, right? Poe uses the word chamber rather than bedroom, apparently because chamber has a dark and mysterious connotation, right? So that just elevates, right, what we talked about in the past, right, when it comes to the mood, right? The mood of the story. Chamber sounds a lot more mysterious than bedroom, right? It's the tone of the word, right? Chamber is better than bedroom whenever Poe is setting the mood. Much more mysterious. All right, narration, right? What point of view is it told in, right? Point of view, it's first person narrator. A man who has lost his beloved, a woman named Lenore. He is depressed, lonely, and possibly mentally unstable as a result of his bereavement, right? That just means the sadness for his loss, right? So there's a vocab word. All right, but I want us to focus here on it being first person, right? First person point of view. And he's mentally unstable, right? There's conflict here happening in his mind, right? That is our conflict, all right? Bear with me. I'm trying to figure out how to use... I'm going to undo that, man. Bear with me, okay? Conflict. All right. Mentally unstable. If it's happening in his mind, right, that's man versus self, right? That's the kind of conflict that we're dealing with there if he's mentally unstable. So first person point of view, right, and he's possibly mentally unstable, so that is our conflict. Next, the raven, right? That's basically just a glorified crow, okay? It's a black bird, right? A raven, which can be up to 2 feet long, pretty big bird. It's a type of crow. Ravens eat small animals carrying fruit and seeds. They often appear in legend and literature as sinister omens, right? So that's an example of symbolism, all right? Symbolism, because they usually are symbolizing these sinister omens, right? Bad luck, bad things to come, all right? Similar to seeing a Grimm, right? Like if you're a Harry Potter fan, he sees what he believes to be the Grimm, the black dog. Okay, this is the black bird, the raven, all right? It's symbolic, all right? It's not actually in the story, right? The man is picturing it. He's having this argument. Well, it might be there, but it's definitely not actually talking to him. The theme, right? The death of a beautiful woman as lamented by her bereaved lover, right? So she is passed away, right? Lenore, all right, has passed away, and he is lamenting her, right? He's sad. He's heartbroken, right? He's mentally distraught over losing his lover, Lenore. All right, focus on the word choice, all right? The word choice affects our tone, right? The words are the tone, which therefore directly creates our mood, all right? As in his short stories, Poe is careful to use primarily words that contribute to the overall atmosphere and tone of the poem, right? Remember, atmosphere and mood are the same thing, right? They can be interchangeable. It's the same thing, like you guys were describing it in class the other day as the vibes, right? The vibes, the atmosphere, the mood. These words, right, these are the tone words that create the mood, include weary, dreary, bleak, dying, sorrow, sad, right? All of these words down here, all right, are tone words that set the mood. The raven, sound and rhythm, all right? The melancholy tone of the raven relies as much on its musical sound and rhythmic pattern as on the meaning of the words. To achieve his musical effect, Poe uses rhyming words in the same line. We call that internal line, right? He uses the words that rhyme within the same line. So they're not necessarily at the end of the line, right? There's 2 words within the same line that rhyme. A word at the end of one line that rhymes with a word at the end of another. That's end rhyme. That's what we're used to. It's like songs. Alliteration, right? You should know what that is. It's a figure of speech that repeats the consonant sound at the beginning of the word. All right, he uses a lot of alliteration. All right, a lot of alliteration. I mentioned that in the video from yesterday. An irregular pattern of accented and unaccented syllables, right? So where he's putting his his emphasis, right? His point of emphasis is the accent. This pattern uses a stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable with a total of 16 syllables in each line. Count them up, all right? See if that's true or not. Does he use a total of 16 syllables in each line? He does. All right, go back and check that out. Here's an example, the first line of poem. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, right? The ones that are all caps, right? The part of the word that is all capitalized, represents the stressed syllables, right, where the emphasis is being placed on those. And the lowercase letters are the unstressed ones. Notice that the line has 16 syllables in all, right? Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary. All right, 16 syllables total. Notice, too, that the line has internal rhyme, right? Dreary rhymes with weary, and it's the same line of poetry. And then there's alliteration, right? The beginning of the W sound at the beginning of those words, right? While, weak, weary. All right, there's alliteration all through this poem. All right, the Raven. Who is Lenore? It is possible that Lenore, all right, is the idealized, decreased woman in the poem. Right? It's possible that it represents Poe's beloved wife, Virginia, who was in poor health when Poe wrote The Raven. She died 2 years after the publication of the poem, and she was only in her mid-20s, right? So she died very, very young, and that's possibly the inspiration, right? He's starting to himself, right, be mentally distraught over the fact that his wife is in very poor health and could be dying soon, right? And 2 years later, she did unfortunately pass away. So maybe that's where the inspiration for Lenore comes from, all right? Lenore and his wife, Virginia. Some viewers, this is some criticism, so this is kind of the feedback that Poe got after writing The Raven, All right, so some reviewers imposed including poet Walt Whitman, another famous poet, criticized The Raven for its sing-song, highly emotional quality. The poem is still criticized today and often parodied for the same reason, right? That's why we saw the video of The Simpsons, right? That's a parody, all right? They're kind of poking fun at it. However, the consensus of critics and ordinary readers appears to that the poem is a meticulously crafted work of genius and fully deserves its standing as one of the most popular poems in American literature. It is indeed a great work, all right? So this is very crucial that you read this because it is one of the most popular poems in American history, in American literature, right? So you, being an American, need to know it. All right, and then if you were to break it down, if you were to summarize it, right, it is a midnight on a cold evening in December in 1840s, right? That all relates to our setting, right? It all relates to our setting. So you should have annotated that in the poem, all right? Midnight, that applies. Cold evening, that applies. December, again, it applies. And then the 1840s, right? That all has to do with our setting. It's in a dark and more setting here, shadowy bedroom. Wood burns in the fireplace as a man laments the death of Lenore, a woman he deeply loved. To occupy his mind, he reads a book of ancient stories. But a tapping noise disturbs him. When he opens the door to the bedroom, he sees nothing, only darkness. And then we have The Raven. Okay, so you guys, all right, continue to read and study. All right, I would annotate The Raven, and I would go back and annotate The Cask of Amontillado. I would reread those because you have a test, right? I open it up on Thursday. You can start taking the test on Thursday, and you have until Sunday to complete it. I give you 2 attempts, all right? We talked about this in the video. I'll post another video on Thursday to remind you guys of what I'm expecting as far as what it comes to the test. You need to make sure you're staying on Canvas. Make sure that you are checking every single day, doing what you need to do, not only for my class, but for all of your classes. All right, school is going to go on, all right, whether we are here in person or not, right? School is going to take place. So you need to make sure that you are doing your part in participating, all right? If you have any questions, feel free to email me, message me on Remind, or send me a message on Canvas. You guys have a great day.